Oh, hi guys. Okay, sorry. Today we're going to talk about everything exactly where you need it at your fingertips on LovenStamp Studio Tours. So today's organizational tip is about your space and having things where you need them at your fingertips at the moment, or preferably before the moment that you need them. So whether your space is big or small, whether it's dedicated, like you have your own area, or it's borrowed, you're just having a table where you take things out and use them and then put them when you're done. My goal is to give you some ideas on how to enjoy your crafting time, because you get to craft. You're not always trying to find things or organize things or put things away. So we're gonna figure out how to make everything work for us, whatever our space. So this tip is sort of a culmination of things that I've put together over the last several months. So it took about 3 months to get my studio to the finished point, which it finally is. And over that time, I worked in corners, I worked in tables, I worked from boxes, all kinds of different things. And so I found some tricks that really worked for me for making the most of my time and keeping my supplies organized. And the finished result is where I have things now. And having been here for a couple months, I'm really happy. So I'm gonna share the tips that I learned along the way and also kind of my finished tips so that you have some ideas. When you sit down to stamp, you want to have things at your fingertip, right? Just what you need, so you don't have to get up and look through a box and find it in the closet or things like that. So my strategy is to have here in this drawer right next to me, my stamp cleaner. What else do we need all the time? Paper snips, adhesive, my Stampin seal, my Seal Plus, a ruler. I don't know about you, but I'm a big stamp ruler fan. I like to measure things so that I can make layers where I want them, as well as a pad for stamping on, and then lots of Stampin dimensionals. There's more in there. I won't drag them all out. But these things, and my Take Your Pick tools, and my tear tape. So these things are the things that I keep right here next to me all the time when I'm stamping. The drawer to my other side has my big surface area things. It's a big drawer, a big 24-inch wide drawer. So I have things in here that take up a lot of space that I don't always want on my countertop. And sometimes I actually stand up and just use them right in the drawer. But that includes my paper trimmer and my Simply Scored board, which is giant, but so necessary to a lot of my projects. The other thing I keep in here at my fingertips is my idea books, right? My Stampin' Up! Catalogs. These are so handy to have when I'm feeling like I'm not exactly sure what I want to stamp. So by having them right here at my side all the time, I can pull them out and flip through for an idea whenever I want. Okay. I also keep in here a stapler, since I'm stapling tutorials and things like that a lot, and a hole punch. All right, what else? Now, you might be saying, okay, that's really nice, Meg, but I don't have drawers to the left and right of where I sit to do my creating. So before I had drawers, I used a table, and this was my go-to organizer. So it is a turntable organizer. You could get these any place. They have them at all stores. Usually in the kitchen supply section. And in here I have those same things. I have scissors, I have bone folders, I have the occasional Sharpie, I have another ruler. I said I really liked having rulers. I have extra glasses. Oh yeah, there's extra glasses in that drawer too. But this is really handy. Okay, now when it comes to other things, inks, markers, and so forth, what I have found is I really like having sort of this seat right here, and it's not on a swivel because it's just a little bit too far, but I can turn around, and if I want my markers or my Stampin' blends, I can grab those from here. If I want my ribbons or embellishments, they're in the next drawer down below. And at the bottom down here, because I use them a little bit less often, I keep things I call my stampables. Like these are the rectangle tins that I showed the other day. The stampables are handy because you know when you want to make a little treat, little notebooks, little battery-powered candles, things like that, they're handy right there. And then my other tools, the ones I use a little bit less often, fit in this drawer, whoops, right here, and that's things like my heat tool, my blender pens, my aqua painter or water painters now, my sponges and sponge brayer. So those things are handy there, okay? Now, let's talk for a second about ink. When I was in my sort of in limbo stamping area, I actually found that I really enjoyed crafting like this. So I'd have a place to put my knees under here. It's really nice to have a counter or a tabletop that you can put your knees under. But for a couple months, I actually worked from just a plain white table, which was great. And then I had my inks and my markers and my reinkers stacked right on top. And honestly, the Stampin store containers, the storables, they are really handy. I really like having my ink. So whether you use the Stampin' Up ones, these are available from my store, and they come in the ink pad holders and these like cubbies which fit other kinds of things, my glue dots, and then they have these trays at the top where I keep my clear blacks. Whether you use these or you use just another type of ink storage, these are really handy. And of course, you probably know this already, but the ink pads, the Stampin' Up ink pads have little dots on the top. You see these little tiny dots, and those help the ink pads to stack really nicely. And so you could just kind of stack these against the wall. It is nice to be able to pull out just the colors that you want right away, to have those there. But to be able to sit and stamp just like this is terrific. Now, you know, the other day I talked about cardstock. And so my stamping style is to come up with a color scheme that I'm going to use when I go ahead and sit down to craft. And then you can check the cardstock video for more about this, but I just use one of these IKEA magazine holders to pull the cardstocks that I might want from my shelf. Details on that from last week. But then I have this right here to go along with what I want to do. All right. What happens if you don't have these kinds of spaces, or you don't have these kinds of drawers? You have your organizer on top, but then my other favorite recommendation is one of these rolling carts, and they have these everywhere now too. The fabric stores have them, Target has them, other big box stores. They're 3-tiered rolling carts, and they hold a lot of stuff, which for me is maybe not good because it tends to be my repository for all things that I don't feel like putting away. But they are really great for having just the things that you need at your fingertip if you don't have drawer space or a cubby space handy. So I really like these, and you can see haven't quite given mine up yet. All right, so yeah, organization at your fingertips. So if you have other tips that you would like to share about how you keep the things that you need at your fingertips for crafting all the time, I would love to see those in the comments because I'm sure that they will help other people. And if you enjoyed your tour, make sure you like or love this video, share it with a crafting friend who could use some organization ideas. On Pinterest, one of the most common pins, at least in my feed, and so maybe that's me, is organization pins. And that's things about, how to keep your stuff where you want it so you have it when you need it. And so yeah, share it with a friend, and tune in tomorrow morning at 9:30 Central Time for the next tutorial, which will be, it's about stamps. It's about stamps and the perennial question, which is how to organize the dies so that you have the dies and the stamps when you need them. And we'll probably touch on Sue's question about the finding greetings. So I'll tell you what I do for finding the sentiments that I always want. So Sue, wait for it for tomorrow. All right, thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you have a super fabulous day. And I've got some stamping to make, so maybe I'll work on adding some of it to my story as I go along. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.